126 off from here to Jerusalem. Let me get this. There we go. Okay. Now, I wanted to talk to you last. Shona Harp is here. Jerry the Stick is there. I'm Anya. Together we are the Flouting Harper, and we are in a place called Andernach in Germany, along the Rhine. So, 2 days ago, I spoke to you guys in the morning. I was in, where was I? I was in the thingy kirche, the von Fürstenberg church, Saint Apollinaris, something like that. And they very kindly put me up. It's a nun and a priest, and they have a community there, Apollinaris Church, and I played there in the evening, and I played again in the morning. They live by divine providence, and I'm hungry, and it was going to be a hot day, so I set out from there, and what I didn't realize is that, although I'd been told this in Cologne, that I'd be heading into the flooding region of where it had been flooding last year in July. And I did. Wow. Like in Europe, like a flood happened, and a year later, there's people that still are not living in their houses. But I don't know this, yeah, so I start walking, and I decide that I will do the climbing. And so I do. I start up the hill, and it goes like this, and I'm thinking, really? Okay, so you avoided the climbing the day before, and now you're going. So, I'm sweating like a hog, going up the hill, getting no real views. Oh no, in the beginning, there's some nice views of the church, nice views of the Rhine, and then I'm in the forest, which is good because it's nice and sheltered. About half an hour in, I hear rustling in the undergrowth. Now, you hear rustling in the undergrowth all the time, and most of the time they're birds, but this is a different sound. And I look up, and I see a snake. I'm not a happy bunny. Like, what is it? Like every trip, every journey I go on, I get a snake. So this one was about that big, and it was, and that's what I heard. And I'm thinking, the last time I saw a snake was in France or Switzerland, and I screamed like a little girl. So I thought, well, I screamed like a little girl, and then I thought, there's nobody to hear me, so I might as well not scream. So I walked on, and I ended up in this small village, and the only thing that was open there was a baker. Now, I had coffee that morning, but I was hungry again because we didn't have loads and loads of food. So I ordered a cheese sandwich and a cup of coffee. And it was something like 7 or 8 euros. And in this really, really, really lovely town. And I'm thinking, what am I doing? So I walk out again. And then I realized that I'd seen this on the map. There's a remembrance graveyard. There's a graveyard there from the end of the Second World War, and everybody in there was in a prisoner of war camp from the end of 44 onwards to June 1945. The first person in there is... Ah, are you back? I was just going to throw this away. Some of them don't know the names, some of them don't know the dates. The youngest in there was 17 that I could see. Prisoner of war camp, that part would have been the English and the... Okay, there we are again. So I'm walking around there, looking at this and trying to, get my head around the law. There is something with the connection. So I'll hang in there. I'll try and I'll make the video short, so I have to get out of here anyway. So the loss of the people that I'm looking at there. And as I'm there, I kind of like there's a whole lot of stuff going on around that area. So there is kind of like there's a whole lot of stuff going on around that area. So there's cars arriving. There is like metal work going on next to it. There's cars arriving. There is like metal work going on next to it. And I walk out. I walk a bit further. I take the turn, and somebody stops me. And there's a kind of camp, like it looks like like a, like it's like a cover with couches underneath it and a table, and there's placards and there's things, and I don't really know what's going on. So this man stops me and he says, "You can't get through here. Like the road is gone. Like the road has." This man stops me and he says, "You can't get through here. Like the road is gone. Like the road hasn't been repaired yet." And I'm going, "The road has not been repaired yet? Okay." And then he says, "You're also in the valley where the R River flooded." And then it kind of does in my head, and I know where I am. So this is the place where we saw the footage from where trees and God knows what were just coming through the valley. But the bizarre thing is, I'm looking at the river which is next to us, and it looks like the Bannon River in summer. There's not much water in there. There's not much anything in there. And I sit down and I said, "What? So what are you guys doing here?" And they tell me they're journeymen. Now, journeymen are, I'm familiar with the idea. It's like based in a medieval concept of training. So you have an apprenticeship for 3 years, and then you go out and you make a commitment to work away from the person who taught you, and away from your house. I've seen journeymen before in Ireland, like because they're very distinctive looking. They have like they wear trousers with they have like a uniform in different colors, but they have like a little vest. They always wear a little round hat, and they always wear a stick like the pilgrims. And so they say, "Do you want some? What are you doing?" "I'm on my way to Jerusalem. Would you like a cup of coffee?" "What's in the back?" "It's harp. Will you stay with us in camp tonight?" And I'm thinking, I've only done 5 or 6 kilometers, but you know what? Take it, I will. So we hang out, we play a bit of harp. They bring me to their camp, which is upriver, and they show me where all the bridges, like 80 bridges, there were 80 bridges there. 60 of those bridges are still not working. So after the floods, money was made available in Germany to help the valley recover the infrastructure. Now, what I've seen is that, yeah, the infrastructure along the Rhine is really good. So you've got the train tracks, you've got the main roads and stuff. All of that was done. But then the actual valleys where the people were living, that money, I don't know, apparently it was never used for, or is still being used, or is caught up in somewhere or whatever. But there is, then you start looking, and all the first floors, like the flood line was this tiny little river got an influx of 7 meters of water. So the fire brigade was driving up and down the river trying to warn people about the flash floods, and people basically didn't believe them. They thought it was that they were exaggerating, and over 100 people died. I think over 140 people died in that valley alone. in that area, the two valleys that I crossed yesterday. And the journeyman, so they make a commitment after their apprenticeship. So you can you can become a journeyman in any type of job that you work with your hands. So chefs, gardeners, woodworkers, metal workers, shoemakers, tailors, all those types of crafts, they can become a journeyman, and then after your apprenticeship you make the pledge that for a minimum of 3 years and a day you will be away from home, over 50 kilometers away from home. uh, you have to find your way in the world, so you cannot pay for beds, you cannot pay for transport. You can take lifts, you can move around, you can go to other countries, you can do whatever you want otherwise. You can work, of course, but only for fairly little money. And then after 3 years and a day, you can set up your own practice wherever you want to. So wherever you want to work, then you can go. And in that period, they also don't use modern technology, so they don't have phones, they have to make their way in the world. So there we are, like there. I had never seen female journeymen, and I'm there, and like half of the camp are women, and they're gardeners and woodworkers, and these, and they're all in their uniforms, and they're all coming together, and they're working on making a pond. They're working on the infrastructure around this town where we were, to get people back to normal for no pay. It's a social thing that they do, and then they go out and they get help. So they have like all these resources, and so it's like a community within a community. It's like a real subculture, and I'm thinking wonderful. So I go there. They're staying. Their main camp is in the pool along the R. The bar is in the actual swimming pool, and they've made like this tent over it. There's a wooden structure. They've made have chairs that they've turned into bar stools. There is a couch on a type of mezzanine. There is a pool table, and everything that they use is for the duration. And they have been there for since the beginning of the year. And then you look around and you see all the first floors of all the buildings not in use. They're all still being built up, and they're digging holes and making trenches and leading river water in different places, and it's stunning. So there's a chef. He cooks. You get a meal 3 times a day. There's tents donated by the scouts. There's people in tents everywhere. They go like, well, you got stuff too. Yes, I do, of course, because I'm like you guys. I have my hammock, and they go, oh yeah, hammock, hammock. Okay, we'll find 2 trees, and then one says, I'm leaving. You can have my tent. That'll save me breaking it down. So within like half an hour, I have a tent, a plate of food, and a from from Zinzig. It was Zinzig, up the road from Zinzig. They had like, of course, an enormous amount of their warehouses. Their warehouses, they can't sell any of it because all the bottles were in the water. And but they were all donated to the thing. So there's beer galore, there's wine galore, there's rattlers, and all these people are. There is a few people who are like, there is no hierarchy, but there's a few people that kind of keep an eye where everything is going, what is needed, and they kind of tell people where what is wanted. Then in the evening, they have an awareness group now, because there is so many more men and women working together now. And they had a meeting. The meeting, literally, I was. You cannot be, you cannot be a journeyman. You cannot start your journeyman journey under 30, over 30. So these are all young. They're not. They're not people of my age. They had their meeting done 20 minutes flat. like, and it was amazing to watch about you know, work dynamics done in 20 minutes, and everybody was chipping in. There wasn't people sitting there kind of rolling their eyes. I, you know, what I used to see in places where I worked, and they were done in under 20 minutes, and it was, and then fire in the children's swimming pool, and I was playing harp there, and they were singing songs because they had, you know, they used none of them. It was amazing. But then yesterday was going to be one of the hottest day of this heat wave. So 36 degrees, off I went. I left at 6 o'clock in the morning. I went into Sinzig. I got myself a cup of coffee and one of the Käsebrötchen. They have, they're wonderful. And I decided that no, 36 degrees is too hot to climb. So I walked along the Rhine. But this is it, like, and they have to walk in the traffic. So I saw a lot of traffic yesterday. I also drank, they have like the Römische water comes up, like they have these thermen, and there was this water, and it was like warm, and it was with fizz. You had, and it has really tasty iron, so it's health water. I drank that. I asked the tourist information what way I should go, and they said way they went like shadow on that side. Anyway, the walk wasn't great because I've been struggling with traffic and stuff. Uh, but I had to ask for water. Give me like a 2 liter bottle of water. Three guys along the road. None of the churches were open. Then there was one pilgrim's place where they had cold drinks, and I sat and I did a good bit of walking because I got to Andernach. And Andernach, it was very clear it was going to be very, very bad weather, and I was really, really. And in my effort to prove my brother wrong that the Germans don't just eat schnitzels, I went to a local food, and I had Rheinische Schwein, the Brauer Sauerbraten, which is the oddest dish ever because it's meat with a kind of sweet and sour sauce, and then you got like these knödeln, which were potato and something else. I think flour. So it was stodge with the meat, and then it tasted a little bit like Christmas. It had like these Christmassy, spicy kind of things in it. So, and I ordered a radler. So Thursday I'd ordered another one. I don't know what was going on there, but basically they ignored me then for half an hour, and then they brought me the bill. They never asked me, and I really for a cup of coffee. It felt really weird. And then I went looking for a place to stay, and I found a place to stay. I walked in here, and he goes like, "No, we're full." By then I'm kind of getting like I'm getting annoyed because this is the second time in the day that somebody goes like, no, 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 we're not having you. Really feeling that I was kind of being pushed out of the door. So I went outside, I booked it online, I went in and I said, listen, my mobile phone says that I've got a booking here. And so here I am. He kind of made a vague excuse about that my pack was so big. And then I realized, look, I haven't paying attention to the way I look, but yeah, I think I'm starting to look like a real pilgrim, and people are starting to react. So I better wet my chest because it's not going to get any better, and I'm not changing my clothes because they're fine, they're doing fine. Nothing will happen again. So you know, it's summer. There's a lot of heat. So I'm gonna look like a clochard anyway. I went for another beer, um, and that was really it. So I'm on my way to Koblenz now. I'll be arriving there tomorrow, I think. It's a little bit too far, although it did start raining last night. We had thunder, lightning. Uh, I was, I had expected it earlier in the evening, but it arrived at around this morning, and then it really let loose. Like it let loose for a little while. So today I'm going to follow the route as it stands, stay away from traffic as much as, and heading for Koblenz. I'm going to go by the Catholic Church, see if there's anybody there who can suggest where I go next. Night out sleeping, cause I am. This was a necessity, and now I'm back out on the road. I need to go back now because it's checkout time, and I need to start walking. Um, yeah. So here I am. This is the oldest of Germany. So Julius Caesar came here. And this is the second oldest town in Germany after Trier. Uh, Standing, there is some amazingly old houses from the 18th century. It's all the wooden frames with the mud packed in between. Yeah, I'm apart from the two really odd things, like that restaurant that was really weird. Like there were young girls serving there. One of them, what her problem was, but like whenever she'd be talking to the girls, she had a normal voice, and then whenever somebody asked her for something, she'd like, little girl, like yeah. I'm saying, what's going on? And then there were these really competent older women came to work, and they look at me. So I suppose like it's true. When you hit a certain age, you become invisible. I'm not used to that, so I don't know how I'm going to that process. Anyway, I'm gonna go start packing. I'm gonna go head off to Koblenz. It was amazing to spend time with the journeyman. I had a wonderful um, being there and seeing how they all work together, and it was very, very, very touching. Um, and it put this whole thing of graveyard then again for me. Then I met Joop, who lives in Malaysia, and he was at this pilgrim's place, and he got himself heat stroke. Right, warning for me as well. Watch out with the heat. Um, oh yeah, and my pilgrim's passport got wet because some of this stuff, so I have a bit of damage on my pilgrim's passport, but I don't think I've I've lost any of the writing. Let me see now. Yeah. So yeah, I have much out of it, but I do need to think about what I ask people to ride with and to make sure that it stays dry. So that's my job for today. And so far, there is nothing, but I have to pack up the harp, so I'm going to go do that now. And yeah, I just wanted to do a quick update. Thank you very much for being here with me, and I'll talk to you later. My name is Anya. My name is Anya. Here is Sean the harp, half packed in already. There is Jerry the stick, and yeah, thank you for being here with me. You can of course follow me as well on Twitter, Facebook. The GoFundMe is still up as well. I'm probably about a quarter through the trip, and I've raised a quarter of the money. Really, really chuffed about that. Oh yeah, and the money is not for anything apart from keeping me safe and to make it possible to have a not really scary journey if anything happens. That's really it for now. I think Monday I'm going to get a visit to Deutsche Fernsehen, uh, but we'll deal with that on Monday. For now, have a wonderful day, and thank you very much for being here with me. Port, it is always like the wind underneath my wings. Have a good one. Day 126 from here to Jerusalem.